The tech for this podcast was produced by Truth Digital. Truth Digital is the sister company to Cochrane & Co. We work in the same office, we drink the same coffee. We do websites, marketing, paid ads, social media, SEO, and all of the other things that will get you new business quickly and efficiently without the bullshit. Check us out, truthdigital.co.uk, or check us out on socials. All handles are Truth Digital. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you here again very soon. Welcome to the UK Flooring Podcast. We have an imposter on the show today that has nothing to do with flooring, doesn't know anything about flooring, never probably will. Amanda Ford, or Panda, quickly, who are you and what do you do?
Amanda Ford. I'm a mum of one and a business owner of the Financial Planning Club.
Love that. The reason why I've dragged you kicking and screaming onto this podcast is recently you qualified doing things with like red, blue, pink, green cards to better your people, better your team. And selfishly, I kind of understand it, and I kind of understand psychometric testing, but I wanted to know in idiot form, me being the idiot, what it is, what impact it makes to people, why you did it, and how we could try and transfer some of that in under 10 or 15 minutes to a flooring professional that's took the time to listen into this podcast. So no pressure, mate. Give us the lowdown on what that means, because I think selling the Financial Planning Club isn't going to be a value on a flooring podcast, but you doing that training could be. So give me all you got, please.
Awesome. So in true Tom style, thanks for the warm-up.
Sorry?
Thanks for the preparation. But interestingly, I've done a workshop this week with a bunch of fire engineers, so I should be pretty on point with it. So what Tom's referring to, its name is officially called Insights Discovery. It is one of these other psychometric tools that help people learn about themselves. And I got involved with it because I experienced it as a customer at a previous business, where you're in your corporate world and you're thrown on this course, you're told to go, lady turns up, you've got Lego bricks, colour Lego bricks, you've answered a questionnaire before you get there. But for all those psychometric learn about yourself tools that there is, this is the one that stuck with me the most. I was able to remember what I was, but I was also able to relate it to real life, and able to see how it could help people. So I've got an inherent belief that we have everything we need inside us to be able to succeed and deliver and achieve what we want. I think sometimes we just don't know how to use it. And this tool was an example of learning about yourself and how you in particular communicate and how you might react in certain situations. But once you know about yourself, you then know about other people. So the method to do it and to learn is to complete a series of statements about how you maybe would deliver a piece of information or how you like to receive information. And then it spits out a really comprehensive 34-page report. And there's always an interesting moment when you're doing a workshop. Prime example this week, hand out the profiles, you get them to read the overview, and the guy at the back of the room says, "Do you know me?" How much, they think I've written it or they think I've got somebody else to write it, but you're simply asking questions about yourself.
Yeah.
And it basically kicks out a colour preference. And I don't know if this is videoed, but I happen to have these to hand. Lego bricks. So there's 4 colours. The main thing for me about this is this isn't about labeling people. It's about just an awareness of how you work. So you have all 4 colours within our energy. So we call them colour energies. But then you might have a preference of the order of these, which is how you tend to order the bricks. And the names are, so you've got sunshine yellow, earth green, fiery red, and cool blue. And those just help you to understand yourself and other people. So if I give a real life example, we will have all had that client or customer who was asking us question after question after question. You will probably also have had the customer that literally just wants to know, how much is the job? When can you do it? So you've got two very different ways of dealing with probably a first customer interaction in the flooring world. Um, and sometimes as a flooring professional, you might be like, why are they so different? And they're just basically showing their different color energies. So your typical fiery red is be brief, be bright, be gone. I just want to know when it's going to happen and how much it's going to cost me. Whereas if somebody who's got a preference for the blue energy, that's their strongest energy, they're all about giving detail. So they're a little bit more analytical. They want to know more about the materials. And just sort of being able to spot these things will help you deal with clients on a day-to-day basis. And I've run quite fastly into it there, Tom. Have I hit the idiot mark, or do I need to cover anything in a bit more detail?
Well, I think we need some tips and tactics, a bit probably on what you've said there on the idiot faction. But I think it comes back to one of my main passions that I never used to be passionate about in any capacity, is actually listening to what other people say. And I think that's the number one thing when in a sales environment, in a customer environment, that people are missing the trick on every single level, where they're running out to measure up jobs for carpet or flooring or whatever, or in the showroom, and they're like, "Can I help?" And then they're just giving information rather than like just stop, ask a question and listen to what they're going to say, and then ask another question, and then, as you said, picking up these things. If people are asking you lots of questions, I just want to know the price, I just want to know this, and then even asking questions. So what's really important to you? Like, what do you mean? What's really important? Well, the prices or the details. I want to know the ins and outs. So how do you read people? Like, how obviously, what's the word? What are the basics you've learned from learning this qualification that could be just tactics in an environment? If you're a person in a van going out measuring customers, or you're in a shop, what else can we give people about this understanding different people? That's probably the idiot stuff I'm looking for.
Yeah, okay. So let's think about it in respect of how somebody greets you or says hello. And this can be in written format or in person, like you say. So it was interesting. I'd done the qualification to get the Insights Discovery. I then hosted an event the following day, 200 people arriving. I was on registration, and every person who came to say hello to me, I guessed, or came to register, I had a bit of a stab in the dark about what colour energy they were. So if you meet somebody and they bound into the room and they're full of energy and they're really full of life and they're really bubbly, you're probably seeing somebody there with a yellow energy. If you've got somebody who is more like coming up to you going, "Hi, Tom, how are you? How's your day been?" Making it about you, and this is my team member, or this is my wife. They're going to have that green energy, and what you're seeing now, it's a bit like matching. Okay, so I predict, we haven't done yours, but I absolutely predict you're going to be quite high on the fiery red. You're quite straight to the point. You can be quite blunt. You just want the information and be gone.
Really?
Correct?
Yeah. You might know me well.
I might know you well. So if you imagine sometimes when you and I'm that fire and that sunshine yellow and you're the fiery red. So if I walked into your shop, you were really blunt, I might be a little bit put off about that in that first instance. Whereas if you assess how I arrive into the room, albeit it's not about changing you, you just may realize, hang on a sec, I've got a slight different communication style with this person. And like you say, then you get into the asking questions. And I remember talking to somebody about at the flooring show over Christmas. And I talked about this client that was asking for loads of details. And he was like, I thought it was me. I thought I wasn't translating my information in correctly. I've now just realized that they wanted more information. And there was another one of your guys that had considered the pack that you might give somebody for a quotation. If you know that person isn't about the detail, don't give them a 10-page document, or can you put a summary on the front of a quote that gives them just the information they need. So you're sort of spotting things like, like how they enter the room, whether they're asking about you, the type of language that they're using. Are they not saying hello at all? Are they coming straight in with a question, or are they asking lots of questions? But the thing with this is it's learning about yourself, and if you can see it in you, you'll start to see it in other people as well.
I think that was an interesting point. One of our clients made up about sending a quotation and 3 or 4 documents with their quotation, frequently asked questions, and 90% of the customers love it. Are like, oh, this is amazing. The contractor that's done this thing, like that's the way she runs her business. She's organized, she's thorough, she gives you all the information. That's how she runs her business. But she now has had to be okay with about 10% of the clients going, I don't fucking need this. I just want the price. You're like, literally, you're giving me all this stuff and it's just fluffing it up. You're just fluffing your service. And it took a bit of time for her to accept that people don't want that, but she's non-negotiable. You're getting it no matter who you are and what you think, because you don't know at that point. You don't have, but she's ready to give that information. It's like, look, we're thorough, we do a great job, and I want to give you the information. Some people it's important to. I understand it's not important to you, but this is the way I run my business. So, and it's firm, it's precise, confident. But she's lost jobs over being thorough, and but probably on price. It's normally the price hunters that want to, they don't want all the drizzle. They want it on a text message. They want it done next week, but they want it for 40% off. So they're not her people. So it's
And that's the other thing, like attracts like. I have a saying about your vibe attracts your tribe. This group that I was training on Tuesday was really alien to me, because I knew before I went in, I had a room full of predominantly blue and red energy. So, they're in the engineering world. So my bubbly, bouncy, wing it personality and energy, I actually was so exhausted by the end of it because I was trying to match their energy. But that's on a trainer to group level. On a client level, you'll get a bit of that, but you've also got choices that client for you. And like you say, you guys will absolutely get those that are just shopping around. So you'll pick that up in how they communicate as well.
love that. Completely off subject. We're going to go into something different. You are an imposter in our alliance program by the fact that you don't sell flooring in any capacity.
I should know a lot more about flooring than I used to.
Your business has got no relevance to flooring, apart from having flooring in the office, and that's about it. But from you sitting as an outsider, even though you just love me and Sarah that much, but what do you see coming to Darlington every 3 months and sitting in a room with 30, 40 flooring? What's your 2 pennants of people coming from every end of the earth to come and listen to us bleat on that isn't done anywhere else in the industry? But what's an outside view and why do you bother?
So I bother because the feeling in that room is pretty amazing and not repeatable. And it probably smacked home to me after a period of illness earlier this year and being really off grid. And my milestone to how I was feeling better was to get to that event. I wanted to get back around those people, even though I have no idea. I'm learning about LVT and all sorts. There's a whole different language. But I wanted to be back in that room with that group of people who were cheering each other on and who were supporting each other. And obviously, I've been in there. I mean, it's probably coming up to 2 years at least. But to see how people's businesses have ebbed and flowed and how people have supported each other, the newbies coming in, and being a business owner can be really isolating. And I talk about getting in your own head and your own echo chamber. And I think what you're creating is just an opportunity for people to get together and realize they're not on their own, offer them some great content and support. But the community is the bit that's so incredibly valuable. And you see it way beyond that meeting in Darlington. You see it in the WhatsApp groups and the Wednesday calls. But there's people just willing to support and help, and people are asking for help. And yeah, but I wouldn't miss it. I'm grateful to be in it, but I certainly wouldn't miss it.
Well, but I think that's what some people think. Well, that sounds a bit not wishy-washy. But there is people in there that are one person in a van, and there's people in there doing well into seven figures. But you would never know that. You would never know when you sat in that room who's like. Well, not even. It doesn't matter what level they're playing at. It actually doesn't matter. But you would never know if you went in there as a outsider and thought, right, who's the heavy hitters, who's the mid-range, and who are just getting started. You wouldn't really know, and that.
You wouldn't.
Yeah.
No, you wouldn't. The ego's left at the door. And as the example of the non-flooring person, I feel I can still contribute. Nobody judges the fact that I'm in the room. They obviously understand our backstory, how I've ended up being there. But no, you wouldn't know the difference in the size of the businesses that are in there. And everybody's really open and willing to share.
So it's not people that are struggling in one way. It's people that just want to progress, is the way I put it. And we've got people in there with 20 staff. We've got people that never had a member of staff, and we've got all different walks. Like people that have been in the industry 40 years, and like, well, what are these guys going to teach as well? Some of our best customers have been in business 30 years. And some of our best customers are brand new out the shelf. So it's
They just don't want to stand still, do they? However long they've been in the industry, it's not about standing still.
No. Well, this was always a short podcast, Panda. And thank you so much for sharing your 2 pence. But I couldn't do 30 days or 30 podcasts without involving you, because you get involved in most things. If it's flooring related, flooring shows, daft weekends away, we have to get the Panda Ford approval for most things. So yeah,
Thanks for having me.
it would have been a bit of an insult and a kick in the lower parts, I think, if I'd not invited you on. But thank you for sharing your non-flooring related 2 pence, and thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
The sponsor for this show is us. Is Cockrell & Co. What do Cockrell & Co do? Well, we help flooring shops, retailers, contractors, wholesalers, and anyone connected to the flooring industry spend more time doing productive things, putting systems and processes in place, making more bottom line profit, and running their business much more efficiently than they ever thought was possible. We run training courses, we have a community of nearly 100 people, and this podcast here. So if you want to know more about what we do, the best place to find us is either on socials, Cockrell & Co, or the website, which is cockrellandco.co.uk. We'd love to speak to you about how your business is going, what your plans are, and how you would love to grow and mature that over time. There is no cost to have a conversation with us on Zoom or on the telephone. We now have a fantastic senior leadership team who can help you with 99.9% problems, and if we can't help you, we will find someone that can. So no matter what flooring business you've got, what help you would need, you just need to ask. That is all. So without the corporate waffle, without the bloke in the shiny suit, but someone that wants to make more money and spend time doing things that you love, we would love to hear from you. Again, visit cockrellandco.co.uk and send us a message, or find us on LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook and Instagram.